It's series championship time here once again on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Welcome everybody on this Sunday afternoon at Park Place Lanes. Doug Brown along with Dan Murphy, and we're ready to go for our final match in this series. Get our first qualifier for the 1990 Tournament of Champions.
Right, not only $1,000 is on the line for somebody, but a chance to make a lot more in the Tournament of Champions.
All right, let's get right to it. We'll meet the two bowlers. First of all, he come up from all the way from the number 4 spot. He's won his first 3 matches, although he has been challenged a couple of times. Steve Vadney.
He seems to bowl just well enough to win. He gets those double strikes toward the end of the match when he needs it. He carries an average of 128, 197 for high single, and he qualified for the show with a 5-game total of 695.
And his scores over the last 3 weeks, he had a 377 3 weeks ago, then a 410, and last week a 384 to knock off Dan Broder. And so Steve Vadney will get a chance now to win the entire series against the guy who's been waiting around for this chance, our number 1 seed from Manchester, New Hampshire, Al Cloutier.
And tough opponent in Al Cloutier, carries an average of 123, has a high single of 212, 472 for high triple, and he qualified for the show with a 5-game total of 739.
Very, very high roll-off score, which, by the way, was right here at Park Place Lanes. So both of these bowlers very familiar with the surroundings, and we're going to be back to settle the series championship. $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the runner-up, and, of course, also the winning score becomes very important today because that will help determine the seedings in the Tournament of Champions next spring. We also have $60 up for grabs in the bonus ball contest. All of that coming back when we begin our match with Al Cloutier and Steve Vadney after the... Well, Al Cloutier has been waiting around for 3 weeks to find out who it would be that he would face in this ladder championship match, and now he has his answer. Steve Vadney has gone through in order Glenn LeBlanc, Chuck Langlois, and Dan Broder. It all started with the winning of the coin flip for Steve Vadney 3 weeks ago to get that number 4 spot, as he and Glenn LeBlanc tied with 695. And it hasn't seemed to matter that Steve has bowled first in the last 2 matches. He's won anyway, so.
It said at the opening of the show, lived a charmed life so far. He's been able to get those marks at the crucial point in the match. It just so happened both of those times against Chuck Langlois 2 weeks ago, and last week Dan Broder threw the double strike. Against Chuck, it was the last box of the match, and Dan Broder was the last several boxes, last 3 boxes that he threw the double strike.
Steve trying to work his way out of this, and he'll take an 8 box.
A lot of incentive here, not only to the prize money at the end of this show, but automatically places one of the bowlers into the Tournament of Champions. And Doug alluded to the fact that not only are they in the championship, but it's very important to put a big score up because that's how they're seeded.
So you're competing against your opponent on this show, but you're also competing against the unknown a little bit.
Exactly.
And not a real effective start by Steve Vadney.
And I know you people have sent letters and everything to me, cursing me that I haven't explained the Pro-Am. I promise I'll do it.
That's right, you did promise you'd do that
last week, and I forgot all about it.
Al Cloutier now.
In the heat of the match, you know, it's understandable.
Al Cloutier hasn't been here in about a year and a half. May of 1988 was the last time he was with us, and that was for doubles competition. He teamed up with Marlene Broder to win 3 matches in a row before losing in the semi-final match. That was back during our 5-week format. Both times he has been here for those doubles matches, and then previously in singles in 1984 when he beat John Waller before losing to Scott Grandy. Both of those previous occasions, Al Cloutier was the number 6 seed, so he had a lot of work to do. So he was very happy to be the number 1 seed this time, and just sitting back and waiting to see what would happen below him. And neither bowler marking right away, and a 3-pin lead for Al Cloutier. By the way, since we adopted this new 4-week series championship format, no bowler has won 4 consecutive matches to win the series. The only one to win 3 and have a chance at the 4th, coming from the bottom of the pack, was Mike Morgan. Last Christmas time when he won 3 matches in a row, and then in the 4th match, the series championship match, threw his 4th consecutive 400 triple and still lost. He lost to Pat Pay.
Going back even when we had the 5-week ladder championships, didn't we only have one? And ironically, it was the very first ladder championship.
That's right.
And
Rich Dion.
Rich Dion, right. Very premier shows of Candlepin Stars and Strikes. And we always thought, well, this is easy. I come in 6th and win 5 matches and go home with a ladder championship. But it's never been done since. And since we've gone to the 4-week ladders, it hasn't been done. Okay, while Al gets up, let me explain the Pro-Am to you, where Channel 50 is the sponsor now of the NHCBA, New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association Pro-Am. It's very simple. In several months down the road, your Candlepin Bowling Association houses will be advertising the Pro-Am. And what you do, you must be a league bowler and check with your local establishment and find out when the roll-offs are. And all you do is go down and bowl 5 games. It's handicapped to 130, 100% handicap. What you do, bowl 5 games, they'll add your handicap and send your scores, the amateur scores, to Londonderry Bowling Center, where they host the Pro-Am. And when the WCBC Pro Bowlers Bowl, your names will be drawn, you'll be matched up with one of the pros. And very simply, after the pro is done, they add the pro score with your score that was already submitted, and they'll pay amateur prize money to those people. You'll also get a chance to learn who your partner is and when they're bowling. So if you want to go down to Londonderry and watch them bowl, it's kind of interesting. And we get over 600 amateurs throughout the state of New Hampshire bowling in that. So very big event. So if you're a league bowler, keep asking your local NACBA house when the Pro-Am roll-offs are going to be held. And again, we thank Jack Foley and Channel 50 for being the sponsor of the Pro-Am.
Also want to acknowledge Tri-State Megabucks, the presenting sponsor of Candlepin Stars and Strikes for this 1989-90 season, which again will culminate with the Tournament of Champions in the spring. These two bowlers still looking for their first marks.
And we've also made a mutual agreement, Doug, that when one of us hits the Megabucks, we will be at the next taping, regardless.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Yes, and take the crew to lunch.
Oh, at least, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where they have those yellow arches.
Yeah.
They can have anything they want. Still looking for our first mark of the match. Both bowlers, maybe a little extra tension here in this match, knowing a win will put them into the Tournament of Champions. And, of course, the $1,000 prize money that goes along with winning this ladder. Remember, that's the only bowler that now is locked out of the rest of the ladder championships, with the exception, of course, of the mixed doubles. Everyone's eligible for that. But one of these bowlers will be able to sit back and wait for the Tournament of Champions. The other bowler will be able to get into roll-offs and get back on.
Right, and we haven't really talked about the mixed doubles yet, but that will once again be part of this season here on Stars and Strikes later on in the year. Actually, early next year.
Oh, wow. Flipped it over, came down on the channel side of the 7-pin, never came out of the channel to knock that 7 down. Can't come any closer without making it. So, very strange start. We've gone 10 boxes, 6 for Steve Vadney and 4 for Al Cloutier, and we've yet to have a mark.
The 2, the 4, and the 10 for Al Cloutier with all kinds of wood. The scores for qualification on last year's Tournament of Champions were actually pretty high when you consider the money at stake and the pressure of winning the series to begin with. The high qualifier was Pat Pay at 412, and the low qualifier, number 6, was Paul Berger at 375.
Interesting that Pat Pay score beat Bob Moran by 1 pin. Remember the day that he beat Bob Moran? He had no idea, no idea that
right.
It was that close until after the show he mentioned that he was top seed for the Tournament of Champions. And which means a lot, because you're top seed, you're guaranteed a shot at the $1,500. And guaranteed, what, $600, I believe.
Right.
Ouch. triangle 2, 4, 5, and 8, and he takes out the 2-pin.
Still no marks. And a 2-pin lead for Al Cloutier.
Maybe we should take a short break and talk to these bowlers. I mean,
right through the middle for Steve Vadney. Leaving the 4 and the 6. And a 9 box. Well, I'd have to go back and look, but I don't think we have ever had a string on the show where both bowlers went through without marking. And still a long way to go in this one. In fact, there it is right there. That's all I had to do was talk about it.
Just talk about it.
The 9-pin.
Not sure if that was a congratulatory applause or kind of, whoops, and they come in bunches. Everything but the head pin for Al Cloutier.
Missed it.
Looks like he lost his footing there a little bit when he took that first step.
Al lives in Manchester with his wife Sandy, their 4 children, Joanne, John, Gina, and Todd. Al works as a dental technician at H&O Dental Laboratories in Manchester. Qualified for this series originally at, well, does most of his bowling, I should say, at the Lakeside Lanes and at Londonderry Bowling Center. Mentioned earlier on in this series that the final roll-off for this event was held right here at Park Place Lanes. So Al Cloutier gets a mark up on the board opposite Steve's strike. And both bowlers break the ice here in the 8th frame.
Two, 4, 7 left for Steve, trying to put up a spare on that strike.
Missed it. Oh, watch out.
Here's that ball again. Oops. He really needed the piece of buddy wood to come back and help him.
Well, Steve told us at the end of last week's show that he changed to a different set of bowling balls. The red relics. That's what he called them. Nope. Needs these 2 for 100. And gets them. A 100 opening game for Steve Vadney with the 1 mark. This is on a spare and an 8 fill for Al Cloutier.
And looking at the 2 and the 7. Piece of wood in behind the 2-pin.
Yeah, nice shot.
2 in a row.
So Al Cloutier has the lead.
And a chance to increase that lead by whatever knocks down here on the spare and make it 6 more.
Study this one, the 3, 4, 6, 7. No, too far right. So it'll be a small lead for Al Cloutier at the end of 1. 7 pins is the difference. Al Cloutier, our #1 seed, takes the early lead. 2 games to go here on Stars and Strikes. We're looking for a series champion and a Tournament of Champions qualifier, and we'll be back in a minute. number from 1 to 10. The number, of course, the number of pins you think will drop when our winning bowler throws that ball at the end of the show. Mail the postcards into Park Place Lanes, Route 28, Windham, New Hampshire, 03087. And even if we just draw your card and you don't match the jackpot, you'll still get a TV50 NHCBA desk pen to enjoy at home. Al Cloutier with a 7-pin lead, starting the second game. He had 2 marks in the first string. Steve Vadney had 1. And that was basically the difference.
Target again for Al Cloutier. 4 horsemen on the right with the 7-pin on the left-hand corner.
Pair of 9s. And an opening for Steve Vadney. Steve had to come from behind in the 3rd string last week against Dan Broder, the first time in the 3 weeks that he had trailed going into the 3rd game. Here he trails by 7 after 1. And a very light hit. Still a makeable shot, though, with the wood.
Oh,
the 3, 5, 7, 9, 10.
Right. So on the 3-pin, he's got a shot at making it.
Just like that.
A lot easier than it wasn't easy, but a lot easier than it actually looked. Just splits the 3 and the 5 and went down pretty easy for his first mark of the second game, and is only a 2nd mark overall. The other one being a strike.
And let's see, watch out for the 10-pin, and it's a 9-drop. It's about the slowest 9-drop you'll ever see. Not exactly what you'd call a solid pocket hit.
No, I think I'm going to take one of those red relics that he's throwing and use it myself.
You'd be able to market this if this keeps up. And another spare.
2 in a row. Sign of a good bowler. Take advantage of the breaks. As many times they don't go your way.
Ask Dan Broder about that.
Exactly.
Boy, last week, it's just seemed, watching the show last week, that Dan Broder should have scored higher.
Right.
That he had the better first ball most of the day, that he was really throwing the ball well, but the breaks just didn't happen for him.
I can't help thinking Al is still losing his balance a little bit up there, and that looks like it might be a little slick on the approach.
That time he buries it in the pocket, and the 10-pin is way off the spot. He'll shoot at the 6 and 10, and that wood is a little bit out front.
Try to drive it right straight back if he can.
Like that.
No problem. Spare up in the 4th. His 3rd mark. All spares.
That's on a spare for Steve Vadney. It'll be, watch out. Boy, if that had fallen the other way.
Might have taken all of them. 4, 7, 8 left. Now it's a 7-pin drop on the spare, and wait a minute, we got some more wood nestling in there, and it looks like if he drives the wood straight back, could have a problem with the 7, but no, no problem. Went a little slower than he thought, but he got another spare. 3 in a row now for Steve Vadney.
Seven, Phil. You'll have to show us another one.
2, 4, 10. Well, he's got a piece of wood behind, so he could be inside of the 2-pin. It will come off the wall for him. Just like that. Not quite enough.
$10, and we will pause right here through 4. 63 for Steve Vadney as he has recaptured the lead from Al Cloutier. Just about halfway through our series championship match. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Al Cloutier stepping up for his fill ball, a mark in the 4th. Game number 2. Hopping that one up there, but in pretty good shape for a 9-drop.
Waiting for that wood to settle down, and then it rolls off. Whoa,
nope.
No.
Oh my, that 3-pin.
Move that off the spot a little bit. 3 and 10.
May make their shot easier though. It lines them up a little bit better. Plus he has the wood as an extra help. Yep, right there.
Nice shot.
Each bowler with 4 marks now in the match. Steve Vadney from Claremont, New Hampshire.
Well, he's going to have his chance at knocking down the 10-pin for a spare. He may get some help rolling back in.
Pretty long drive for Steve to join us here in Wyndham, but he's brought his whole family with him for today's show. His wife Annette and their 2 children, Jennifer and Stevie, are here. Spare up in the 5th. 4 out of 5 this game. Even though he's won 3 matches in a row, Steve has really never caught fire.
Exactly.
In the.
He's bowled just well enough to win.
Yep. Coming back for another 9-drop. Another mark. Well, after a struggle in the first game, Steve is putting together some big numbers here in game 2. Now Cloutier has to try and get things together here, and he drops 8 on his spare.
Ooh, tough because the wood swung in between the 2 and the 5, so be careful here. The 2 could go right around the 5-pin. Nope,
took it out.
Drives it right straight back, so it's 2 in a row now for Al Cloutier.
Just like that.
Make it a 5. 3, 6, 10 on the right with the 4, 7.
He'll give it a try. No. Well, let's see. I don't know if that's going fast enough to take them both out. And it'll be a 9-box for Al Cloutier. So Steve Vadney now with a chance to crack the 100 mark here in the 6th box.
To think he had 100 for the entire 10 frames the first game. That's how much he struggled. Make it 99. 7 fill on that spare. Three, 4, 8. See if we go after the 3-pin. Cutting it over. Great try.
Best string that Steve has ever rolled here on Stars and Strikes is 159. He's done that twice. He's also had a 156 and 3 153s. So he's had 6 strings over 150. And he's got a shot at another game over 150 here, but he'll need some more marks.
He's got the 410, but let's see where this wood settles down. He's going to try to cut the 4-pin on the left-hand side. The wood may help if he hits it flush.
Nope. And that's a 9 box for Steve. And overall, a 13-pin lead in the match for Steve Vadney. Coming down to the final 2 of game 2 for Al Cloutier. Everything but the 5-pin.
Nothing even came close to knocking the 5-pin down, but that was a good ball thrown by Al. The second ball, he'd be the first to admit he's got to get on the head pin a little more consistently. One, 3, 8, and 10 left for Al, and he's got a piece of wood that's going to definitely help him, at least with the 10-pin. Got to be on the head pin, though.
He is, and he's got it. Big spare in the 10th.
You see the replay, just splits the 1-3. Ball and the other pins take care of the 8-pin.
His 6th mark, all spares. In fact, each bowler with 6, but the difference is Steve Vadney has put his together. And a 7 fill for a 125 for Al Cloutier. 232 is the 2-string total. So it appears certain that Steve Vadney will have a lead going into the 3rd game. The question is how much? Right there.
That was a quick one. 1-3 pocket. See the good extension by Steve and a good follow through, and just buries the ball in the 1-3 pocket, trips that 4-pin, strike up in the 9th. That'll ensure him the lead.
Well, this next ball is the one that's more critical on the strike. And he slides off and half Worcester on the other side for a 4 fill. This will about negate the effect of the mark. Although Steve does get out of it with a 9 and a 141. So the difference will be 9 pins. We are in search of a series champion, and we have 1 game remaining with 9 pins the difference. We'll be back to settle it in a minute. Steve Vadney will lead it off, the last game of this series championship match, with one of these bowlers looking to make a move here and also to maybe roll up a big string to increase that 3-string total. I think most of the bowlers would agree that they have to worry about one thing at a time. Win the match first and then worry about what your score is afterwards. But
exactly. But if last year's is any indication, this looks like the number 6 seed. If they don't get move on here.
Well, you never know.
That's true.
Ooh. That's the second 6 box of this match for Steve Vadney. He had one in the first game. Right in the pocket. And the 8-pin will go, leaving the 6. for an easy spare. $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the runner-up. Of course, next week we'll be back beginning a brand new series championship, and we don't know as of right now who the bowlers will be. But next Sunday at noon, we'll be right back with 5 brand new bowlers to start a new series here on Stars and Strikes. And a 7 for Al Cloutier. And he gains a pin.
Al really like to have that 7 pin go down, but you know, many times if you're going to get the 3, 6, and 10, got a good chance of making the 7. Like that.
Oh, wow.
Nice shot by Al Cloutier.
You called it.
As I said, if you make the 3, 6, 10, you really got a shot at making the 7, especially if you split the 3, 6. Both bowlers mark up in the second frame.
And an 8 fill, no extra pin this time for Steve Vadney, and he has the 8-10 left.
It's an 8-pin drop, but a tough spare leave.
That was one of those shots I was waiting for the ball to come back. Steve Vadney now on Candlepin Stars and Strikes with a record of 21-5. And I think an earned run average of 2.31.
Well, got another try at the triangle, 2, 4, and 5. Oh,
right around it.
You know how many times you have the triangle or the diamond, if you have the diamond, you get the triangle and leave the 1 in the back. If you have the triangle, a lot of times you just take out 2 and leave 1 of those. Looked like it was good enough to carry the 4-pin, but didn't happen. Al Cloutier stay within 8 pins by matching the fill by Steve, and he gains 1. So.
And he's opposite 2 open frames. So a big opportunity here. And there's 1 mark up.
Seven pins. Drop 7 here. We're all knotted up.
Oh,
well, he tried for 7. Can we give him 6.5 for that? 2, 4, 7 in the 10, or the 4, 4, 7 and 10.
Instead of double wood, a double pin.
Ooh.
And that's the one still standing. That probably increased the difficulty of that shot. It kind of throws off your aim a little bit. And there is a 1-pin difference now in the match with 6 boxes to go. Steve Vadney's lead is 1. We will be back to settle it for the series championship on Stars and Strikes after these messages. Well, it looks like it's going to come right down to the end again. Steve Vadney had a 9-pin lead coming into this 3rd string, but the lead is now just 1. Nine-pin drop, leaving the 9-pin.
I have a clear shot at it. Uh-oh.
Ooh.
As soon as it left his hand, I knew he was going to be to the left, but just how far, whether it was enough to carry it, and it wasn't. And so a missed opportunity by Steve Vadney in the 5th frame of the 3rd game. In the past few weeks, he's missed more singles than he's probably has on all his other appearances with us. Two, 4, 7 in the 10. Piece of wood in between the 2 and the 4, which could help the 2-pin to jump over towards the 10. Got to be on the 2-pin now. It's to the left. So 2 openings for Al Cloutier.
All right, Al, come on.
Well, here's a big chance right here. First time Al was with us was back on July 1st, 1984. And he threw a 439 to beat John Waller. He had a 163 opener, then a 120, and a 156. He had 22 marks in that match.
Out of 30 boxes. Not too shabby.
Today he has 8. And they have come very tough for both bowlers in this one. Each of them has 8 marks, in fact.
And thus the 2-pin difference. It's a close match. All knotted up a number of marks, and the fills must be fairly close as well to have a 2-pin match. Half was to right for Al Cloutier.
Oh, he gave it a run. Playing it on the inside. And the lead is still 1 pin for Steve Vadney, now with 4 boxes to go. He must be feeling like he dodged a bullet right there.
Absolutely. Don't give Al Cloutier too many chances. I think Steve knows that. But if it's indicative of the last few weeks, this is where Steve Vadney usually puts the marks up.
Well, he's got a shot at one here on the 2-4-7 with a favorably angled piece of wood.
Almost have to shoot this right at the 2-pin so you get all the advantage of the wood. That's exactly what he did. Run him down, spare up in the 7.
Little thin hit on the right side, leaving the diamond.
And here's the diamond I was talking about before. Steve had the 2-4-5 and got the 2-5, left the 4. Let's see what happens this time with the diamond leave. Well, we'll never know. He's quite a bit out to the left.
Takes a 9 box. So he puts up 25 in those 2. Good looking ball by Al Cloutier, but leaves a triangle in the right corner.
6, 9, 10. Nice
got it.
Shot. Nice shot. Clutch mark for Al Cloutier. There's a replay of that. 6-pin going around, clearing out the 10. Matches the mark up by Steve Vadney. A 7 drop, I believe, will knot it up, right?
You are correct.
And Al says, no, we're just going to keep it right where it is. 6 fill. 1, 2, 4, and of course the 9-pin in the back row.
Nope. If he gets both of these, we'll be dead even.
Well, like the 2 previous weeks, final 2 frames.
Oh,
that's where we are.
That's a tough shot, too.
All even.
That's a tough shot.
All even.
The 1-9 with no wood,
So,
and it comes down to 2 boxes.
So really, we could have just brought him in and said, listen, just bowl 2 boxes and the winner go home. We wasted 28 boxes. Final 2 for Steve Vadney. The winner moves on, qualify for the Tournament of Champions. loser goes home, but still eligible to try for the next ladder championship. 5 and 8. Looking at Steve.
No, he went too far to the right.
All pins, very important. Obviously, if you get 2 10s, it force a mark by your opponent to win.
There's one. Pin on the Brooklyn side, but it'll be another spare opportunity.
He wants that piece of wood out of the way so he can have a clear shot at the 3 and the 5. No.
Ooh.
No, the ball hung. He loses a little more speed that time. The ball did not break back from the left, what it usually does.
2 10 boxes.
2 10s, so to win, Al still needs the mark. 21 pins to win.
.348 for Steve Vadney.
Of course, 2 10s to go into overtime.
And
that does it.
That may decide it right there.
I would say, safe to say that he's in the driver's seat, striking the 9th. All he has to do is get a decent fill and should be all right. And
that does it.
Will do it. So we still have not got a winner or a number 5 seed to come all the way up and win the ladder championship. Steve Vadney came close to doing it.
Al Cloutier finishing with a flurry here now.
And Al Cloutier will be our first qualifier for the Tri-State Mega Bucks Tournament of Champions.
Of course, he's looking to add as many pins as he possibly can here. He's at 358 right now, and 7 more will make it a 133 and 365 for Al Cloutier. And he wins the series championship, $1,000, and he can sit back and relax now for the rest of the season. He has qualified for the Tournament of Champions. We'll be back to wrap it up and have the bonus ball contest in a minute. Championship has been decided. Steve Vadney couldn't quite make it 4 in a row, but boy, it was there for the taking the last couple of boxes.
Oh yeah, I haven't been too sharp really in the last couple of weeks, and it showed in the 9th and 10th there. Both shots missed clearly, and it was there if I could have set it up, put a little more pressure on Al. But
well, I hope to console your disappointment with a check for $500 coming your way, and also the runner-up plaque from the N&R Trophy Company. And of course, you're eligible now to come back and try again, so perhaps we'll see you again.
Right.
All right. Thanks very much, Steve Vadney. And he becomes the runner-up, $500 richer, and now Al Cloutier is set to see if he can get us a bonus ball contest winner. $60 on the line here. And it is a 7, so let's see. Yep, we have a winner. Henry Oben from Merrimack, New Hampshire. All the disappointed losers in the crowd here. Henry Oben from Merrimack, New Hampshire is the winner of $60 in cash. The jackpot, of course, will recycle for next week. And Al Cloutier can now sit back and relax for the rest of the season because you'll be back in the spring for the Tournament of Champions.
Thank you very much. I thought I was very fortunate today. I don't think anybody wanted to win. I got, Steve missed a couple there late in the game, and I was struggling myself. And then when I threw that strike in the 9th box, I said, thank you.
That'll about settle it, I guess. Yes, so we'll see you in the spring for the Tournament of Champions. We have a check for $1,000 also for you and the larger version of the plaque, and we'll see you again in the spring, Al. Congratulations. All right, Al Cloutier from Manchester. A big rooting section here, and the series champion, and now he can just sit back and wait and see who all the other opponents will be.
It's going to be fun as he's in. Now he can sit back and relax the rest of the season, wait and see who he's going to bowl against, but guaranteed some big money at the end, and bowl well enough to win today. All right, next Sunday at 12 noon, we'll be back with 5 new bowlers to start a new series championship here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. We hope you'll be here with us. Until then, for Dan Murphy and the whole TV 50 Sports crew, Doug Brown, bye-bye, everybody, from Park Place Lane.